In Cuba, time has stood almost completely still for 60 years. Between crumbling ruins, rusty vintage cars from the 1950s drive by, power outages happen daily, and mobile internet has only existed since 2018. The state monthly salary of around 15 euros is barely enough for basic food. Store shelves are empty, and the lines at pharmacies, banks, and gas stations are endless. All this in a country full of dream beaches, salsa, and some of the most joyful people anywhere. But why does time seem to stand still here? And how do people really live today? And with that, welcome to Cuba, one of the last great stages of lived socialism. So, a warm welcome, my friends, from Cuba. We're cruising here in a 1959 Chevrolet along the Havana Promenade, and it almost feels as if time has stopped. Why that is, we'll find out today. Let's go. Today, we'll visit uninhabited house ruins, experience the food rationing system, and follow Fidel Castro's footsteps all the way to the most dangerous day in human history. Its stage was set right here, just off the coast of North America. Around 10 million people live on the largest island in the Caribbean, with Havana as its capital. So friends, here you can see the house facades. It really looks like something from another century when you look at these buildings. Take a look at this. Here, barricaded windows, basically a ruin. And down there, people actually live inside. Yes, people actually live in ruins. There's no other way to put it. Here you can see the entire left side of the building has collapsed, and now it's being used as a balcony to hang laundry. The Communist Party of Cuba governs the state as the only permitted party. It controls almost every area of life. Cuba is therefore one of the last countries in the world where socialism is truly lived. And take a look at the cars here. Hello, my friend. What model of car is it?
A Chevrolet from the year 1952.
1952, wow.
This one's been remotored with a Hyundai engine.
Are you also a mechanic?
We do everything. We do everything.
Okay, thank you very much, my friend. Have a good day. Whether it's missing car parts, bartering food, or homemade lamps from car batteries, the art of improvisation is deeply rooted in Cuban mentality. Yes, what you'll also see in many places are vintage cars just standing by the roadside. The tires flat, the windows left open. They're basically like car corpses along the edge. Alongside the American ones, you see many Soviet brands like Lada or Moskvich. And these vintage cars aren't collector's items, they actually make up most of the cars. Look, here's the next one. But still, of course, especially in slightly wealthier neighborhoods, you also find modern cars here. But really, only the very richest can afford them, so they're extremely expensive. Those with less money have to deal with other problems. What happened? The gasoline?
It's bad.
Bad? Look, you see this often too. Cars just standing in the middle of the intersection because either the gas ran out or there are other problems with the car. Refueling in Cuba is particularly complicated. So friends, there are different types of gas stations. We're here at Type 1, which is for the general public. Gasoline is scarce. That's why you have to reserve an appointment just to be allowed to refuel. And how long have you waited for your turn?
23 days.
23 days? Seriously?
To fill 40 liters. Once a month, 40 liters.
You can only...
The rest is through the mafia.
And how much does the liter cost?
132 pesos. In the market, it costs $1.50.
In the other market?
The mafia.
Thank you very much. What's your name, my friend?
Damian.
Daniel, nice to meet you. Good car, I like it. A Soviet car. Moskvich. And this is where the gas goes in. How much is a Moskvich?
It costs $9,000 to $10,000 US.
Thank you very much. Have a good day. Where this extreme gasoline shortage comes from, you'll find out later in the video, but you can get around it here. And right behind me is Type 2 gas station. It's sort of the rich people station. Here, you don't need an appointment. There's almost always gas, but you have to pay in dollars. It's much more expensive. 1 liter costs about $1.3, 3 to 4 times as much as the regular stations. So if you have money in this country, you can manage, but you have to have it. In official exchange offices, as of August 2025, you get about 110 Cuban pesos for $1 and on the street, 400 pesos, almost 4 times as much. The official rate is artificially kept stable and is therefore practically worthless. Almost everyone exchanges their money on the black market, often with taxi drivers or hotel staff. Hello, my friend. How are you?
Are you buying something for my friend? Look. Wait, this guy's going to buy you something. Look, he is sick.
What's your name, friend?
The pirate. Dude.
Do people call you the pirate?
For sure.
Okay, buy a juice for the colleague up there who is sick.
We're going up there now.
I'd like to see that.
Put it in there.
As you can see, you see this very often. People basically use a bag and a rope to haul things up, and the pirate here joins right in. Have a good day, pirate. Bye. Bye, friend. Cuba was originally home to 3 indigenous communities. In 1492, Columbus arrived in Spain, colonized the island. Within a few decades, the indigenous people were almost completely wiped out by European diseases and forced labor. But sugar and tobacco production had to continue, so African slaves were transported across the Atlantic to Cuba, an estimated almost 800,000. In 1841, as many as 43% of the population were enslaved, until abolition in 1886. Look here, unfortunately you also see this in quite a lot of places, a lot of trash on the streets, whether it's food scraps, some wooden frames here, cardboard boxes. The puddles are just green. Never seen that either, wow. Hello my friend, a quick question. What exactly are you looking for? Trash to sell?
No, food.
Food. Can I support you a little? Thank you very much.
Thanks.
What you also see a lot are people who do buceo, Spanish for diving. It basically refers to people who sift through trash for food or other things they can sell. Of course, not nice to see. The majority of Cuba lives in extreme poverty. In 2024, only 15% of Cubans said they were able to eat 3 meals a day regularly. The cause of the situation is found in part in history. In 1898, there was a war between the USA and Spain. The USA won and Cuba officially became independent, but the United States set the rules. American corporations controlled sugar exports, and US mobsters controlled tourism. The elites got rich, and in the countryside, bitter poverty, an inequality that would soon escalate. Hello, how are you?
Where are you from?
All good?
Germany.
From Germany to here?
Do you live here or…
Yes, I live here.
Come in so you can see.
Could I come in?
Come.
What are your names?
My name is Roberto.
What is your name?
Carla.
Carla. Let's go.
They are small houses. You understand? Sofa, the bed here.
This is the bed? Okay. So I see there is electricity, right?
Yes.
Yes, right now at the moment.
They turn it off and on.
Every day?
Every day.
In Havana, the power goes out almost daily for several hours, mostly without warning. Many power plants are old and unreliable. Oil and spare parts are lacking. Thus, in March 2025, there was once again a nationwide total blackout.
Look, our refrigerator is empty.
Come see the refrigerator so you can see. Could you help us buy something now?
All empty. We do not have food.
When the power goes out, the food spoils.
We have nothing to eat. It has to be fumigated. See? Do not pay attention to the little bugs.
Okay.
We are used to it.
Because of the power outages, factories also come to a standstill. Water pumps, traffic lights, and gas stations fail. Hospitals operate only on emergency power. Medications expire and surgeries have to be postponed. Then I met Manuel on the street. He had emigrated to Canada, came back during COVID, and is now showing me his neighborhood. So here it goes, up a staircase. You see everything is super old, really run down.
Look at this. You see the structure of the building? This is gonna go down anytime, bro. Look at that.
Did this happen, or does it happen that buildings collapse?
2 weeks ago, a building went down in Villegas and Aguacate and killed a little girl, her father, and her mother. Havana is 505 years old. See what I mean?
There was hardly any private property ownership in Cuba for a long time. The state allocated the apartments and only granted permanent usage rights.
Rent doesn't exist here. We don't pay rent. The only thing we pay is electricity, the phone, water, gas, and that's it.
Only since 2011 has buying and selling property been possible to a limited extent. Back at his place, Manuel told me about his job at the hotel.
Okay. I work for the government. My salary is 6,000 pesos a month.
Everybody that works for the government earns like these 6,000. For example, a doctor or a professor, how much will they earn?
Same thing. Communist country, bro.
A large share of Cubans work for the state. In 2024, wages averaged around 5,800 pesos, just under 15 euros per month. It used to be enough to live on. Today, it barely covers a few kilos of meat. Many look for side income in tourism. A taxi driver, for example, earns with a single trip from the airport to the city more than a doctor earns per month. In addition, survival is secured mainly by remittances from immigrants.
What is better in Cuba than in Canada?
People don't need material things to live. We have nothing, but we are happy. I'd rather stay here than there.
Back to the 1950s. Dictator Batista rules the country. Unemployment, corruption, and dependence on the US create discontent among the people. A revolution is looming, led by 2 world-famous figures, Fidel Castro and Che Guevara. With their guerrilla forces, they overthrew the regime in 1959. Castro took power and in 1961 ushered in the socialist era. Manuel then introduced me to his neighbor, Pio.
If you want to help somebody, this man right here, look at his legs.
May I ask what happened to your legs?
That is cancer.
Cancer. How does it work here? Can you go to the hospital?
The medicine is not available, and when it is, it costs.
Despite his illness, Pio tries to get by with his friends. What are you building?
For fishing.
For fishing?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
They do fishing.
All the gun is homemade?
Homemade.
As you can see, they're really getting creative here. They're building a spearfishing gun with the simplest of means. They're cutting the rubber to size with a razor blade. And what is that?
When it goes in, this will open and the fish cannot get out.
Cannot get out, yeah, okay.
And with that, we headed straight out to fish. So friends, here we are right by the sea on the coast of Havana. How are you going to dive now?
Yes, let's see how it is.
Okay, so now we're joining the spearfishing tour with the guys. Really, right here on the city beach. Take a look. Down there, they're getting ready. What are you hunting today?
Octopus.
Octopuses. As you can see, Pio's really doing this with his swollen legs. That's crazy. Of course, people do whatever it takes to make ends meet. After that, we went to one of the most important places in the country. Friends, here we are at Revolution Square. Right here, Fidel Castro gave his legendary speeches, sometimes over 7 or 8 hours long and sometimes even to an audience of millions. At the same time, he holds a very bizarre record, namely the most survived assassination attempts ever, a total of 634, most of them by the CIA, and in the most bizarre ways. Exploding cigars, poisoned diving suits, and tainted milkshakes were some of the plans, but none succeeded. The aim behind it was above all to fight the newly introduced socialism. But what did that mean in concrete terms? Companies were nationalized, whether factories, banks, or small shops. Large landowners were expropriated and the land distributed to small farmers. Education and healthcare were free from then on. Traveling abroad became hardly possible, and the media firmly in state hands. In the next video, we go from Cuba to Mexico. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss it. Then we went to the beach a little outside Havana. Look what a paradise, here behind all the palm trees. Then the almost white sandy beach, and over there the sparkling blue sea. Super, super beautiful. This group had seen my cam and wanted to take a photo together. A photo together? Let's go. How do you say cheese?
1, 2, 3.
Yes, yes, but in Spanish, how do you say it? Sonrisa or something like that.
Risa, okay.
3, 2, 1.
Today is a dead day, but on weekends.
Is it like super crowded here?
And only beautiful women.
Thank you. Bye-bye. You can tell that despite a difficult living situation, people are really super open, have good energy, and want to chat. That is really nice to see. Pretty crazy, this contrast between the paradisical Caribbean and all the crumbling buildings here. Here, the floor is lying across. Here, all the walls have just fallen out as well. This ruin used to be a school and has been abandoned since the 90s. Up here, probably the classrooms, 1, 2, 3, 4. Down here, the same. Yes, this is where Cuban children went to school 20, 30 years ago, but now it's just a ruin. It is October 27th, 1962. The day humanity was almost wiped out. After the revolution, Cuba became a partner of the likewise socialist Soviet Union, and thus an opponent of the USA. The Soviets secretly stationed nuclear missiles in Cuba, only 150 kilometers from Florida, as the counterweight to US missiles in Europe and Turkey. US spy planes discovered them. The situation escalated, and the world held its breath. On the day in question, a Soviet submarine approached Cuba, loaded with nuclear torpedoes. It was harassed by US boats, but the crew had no radio contact and believed the war had begun. 2 of the 3 officers on board voted to press the red button. A global nuclear war would very likely have followed, but one man objected, Vasily Archipov. Only his no probably saved humanity. After that, a compromise was found and the nuclear missiles were withdrawn. We met a Cuban who speaks German. What is your name? Excuse me?
My name is Cesar.
Have you lived in Germany?
4 years.
4 years. In Dresden?
In Dresden. I worked in a plant, a tire factory.
In the socialist GDR, Cuba was considered a brother state. At the end of the 70s, tens of thousands of Cubans came to East Germany as workers.
When the wall in Berlin fell, I had to go back.
I see. So after the fall of the wall, you had to return. Thank you very much, Cesar.
You are welcome.
Have a nice day.
All the best.
All the best. In 1991, the Soviet Union also collapsed. Cuba's main sponsor with billions in annual aid disappeared overnight. Factories stood still. Power outages and hunger crises became everyday life. The current situation has its origins here, among other things. So friends, we are in a relatively inconspicuous park that is very special, because right here in 2015, one of the first Wi-Fi hotspots for the general public was open. And mobile internet was not even on the table yet, because 3G was only introduced in 2018, that is 7 years ago. Before that, the only access was the so-called El Paquete, in English, the package. Those are USB sticks from the black market, filled weekly with the latest movies, news, or YouTube videos. A network of couriers distributed them offline across the entire country. Millions of Cubans used them, basically an internet without internet. Illegal, but tacitly tolerated by the state. In front of banks, there are almost always lines. That is because cash is sometimes scarce. You can withdraw a maximum of 5,000 pesos here. How long do you usually have to wait to withdraw money?
1-2 hours.
So as you can see, almost every everyday process is just very complicated here. In response to the revolution, the USA imposed an embargo on Cuba over 60 years ago, the longest in modern history. Trade and financial transactions are prohibited, with only a few exceptions. That is exactly what massively paralyzes Cuba's economy. For that reason too, pharmacy shelves are empty. One way out is the street black market. What medications do you sell?
Medicines for blood pressure, for headaches.
How much is it here? What is the price on the streets?
300 pesos each.
So what you cannot get in pharmacies, you then get here on the street. But of course, only if you pay the price, which is relatively high. Buying food is not easy either. So here is a bodega. Here the state hands out subsidized foods to the people. Here we have spaghetti, vinegar, sugar, pasta, rice. The prices are only symbolic. For example, a pound of rice costs just under 6 pesos, and on the black market, almost 300 pesos. So 50 times more. Every resident has a booklet with fixed monthly quantities to collect, the so-called libreta.
This month, the only thing in the libreta there is sugar, 1 pound per person. Before, there was oil, there were beans, now nothing comes.
If you have a family, if you have sons, daughters, you will receive a larger amount, right?
Of course, 1 pound per person.
It's not enough for anything. Cubans go hungry.
Today, the libreta does not even come close to being enough to survive. People turn to expensive import shops or small private stores. On the one hand, there are the state bodegas, and then these private shops here, which are now also tolerated. You see the gentleman here sells basically right out of his house. This is a Cuban brand, right?
Tucola. Yes.
Tucola.
Diego Montero.
Cheers, eh? Have a good day. Bye-bye. I now have bought a Tucola here that is basically the Cuban-owned brand of cola. Because Coca-Cola is not officially sold here. And that is because of the US embargo. You often find it anyway on gray markets. Cheers. Wow, it's a bit sweeter than Coca-Cola, kind of more syrupy, but still not bad. Then we went back to the city center. So friends, take a look. Here is the Capitol, probably the most important building in Havana. And then really directly opposite the buildings look like this. Take a look at this stairwell, propped up with some wooden beams. In this huge building ruin, over 40 families live with their children. Hello.
Hello.
How are you? Can you walk here or not?
No, it collapses down there.
Is it dangerous or not dangerous?
Yes, it's very dangerous.
This is Carlo, and he was eager to show me his apartment.
Come on so you can see my grandmother. Come so you can see the house.
What's your name? Hello.
Vivian.
My name is Daniel. Uh-huh. Do you have a television?
Yes.
And is that the kitchen?
The kitchen is tiny. Tiny.
Oh, yes, of course. Then Carlo showed me his favorite sport.
Look, you put it here.
You are a wrestler. You're going to be a great wrestler in the future, huh? His grandma told me about her greatest fear.
This one collapsed completely down below.
On the other side?
Yes.
On this side, all the families live. And on the other, all the floors have already given way. All the rubble is lying there. Here, the floor is completely collapsed. Up here, it's really only a matter of time before the right side collapses as well, God forbid. But it's crazy that people, families with small children, live here. Unbelievable. In an everyday life like this, full of scarcity and stagnation, it's the people who do not lose their laughter. But when a clock in their country will start ticking properly again, can only be shown by the future.